Hey, what up everybody? Steve Bridge coming to you with a review of SummerSlam 2006, which I watched on my WWE Network last night. I got to watch two shows, and basically I'm paying for it a little bit too much today. 6 hours of wrestling, going to bed at 3, wasn't the best idea of all time, but I'm glad that I watched 2005 first. 2005 was definitely a better SummerSlam than 2006. 2006 was definitely a show that I do remember watching live. So I had some special feelings about remembering this going down, but a lot of stuff on the show, honestly, that I didn't like. Starting off with the Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero match, nothing about the match. I just think that basically Rey Mysterio's push of 2006 was just horribly done. If you want to make Rey Mysterio your champion, if you want to make Rey Mysterio a big deal, you don't have to use and exploit the death of Eddie Guerrero. And by doing that, basically was, Rey Mysterio won the Royal Rumble through the powers of Eddie Guerrero. Then he was able to use Eddie to push himself to win the title at WrestleMania and defy the odds to become the World Heavyweight Champion. And then, after that, Chavo Guerrero came out on Raw and he challenged Shelton Benjamin for the United States Championship. Basically, if Rey was able to get the big one done, Chavo would be able to, complete it and win the United States Championship as well. Chavo didn't win. Chavo felt like he let Eddie down, so he quit and he retired to come out and sort of be the manager of Rey Mysterio, being in his corner, being that friend piece, making sure everybody understood the rub of the Guerreros and Rey Mysterio being together. Before finally Chavo turned on Rey Mysterio, where Rey lost the title to King Booker, and this was basically the way that they set up their match for SummerSlam. And for this match, basically, Chavo was having to explain all of his actions to Vicky Guerrero, why he was doing this to Rey. Rey had always been a friend of the Guerreros, and basically Chavo was saying that Rey was using the Guerreros. He tried to always act like he was one of them. He was just a guy that was following them around and was never really one of them. Chavo gets the win over Rey in a good match, but just I never really got the whole storyline. Eddie was a great wrestler. Eddie was a great superstar. Eddie passed on, and I've never seen them really exploit death as much as this. I know that Eddie was a much loved superstar. I understood why he would get the the tribute shows that he did on Raw and SmackDown from Minnesota, but to just sort of linger that on for so long, I understood. Them putting him in the Hall of Fame, I think it's sort of debatable if you put him in like that. I think that they sort of used the death to put him in there so soon when there's a lot of other wrestlers out there that seem to go in there. But to sort of exploit the death, to use the push of Rey Mysterio, I've never liked it at all. From there we go to the Extreme Rules match for the ECW Championship. I hated this match basically because I really liked the ECW show. They did a number one contenders match, Sabu versus Rob Van Dam, in a ladder match, and Big Show came out basically saying that he didn't want to defend the title at SummerSlam, so he just came out to beat up Sabu and Rob Van Dam. And during this beatdown, he picked Sabu up to sort of give him like some sort of a power bomb and walked with him through the ring in order for Sabu to grab the contract to become the number one contender at the show. I thought that Sabu was able to put in some offense on Big Show, but it was never a believable match. Not good. From there we go to Hulk Hogan versus Randy Orton. WWE got a huge buy rate on SummerSlam 2005 with Hulk Hogan in the main event, so they invited him back for another year at SummerSlam. In this one, it involved the future of Randy Orton. Randy Orton used the storyline sort of as a way to hit on Brooke Hogan. Hulk Hogan played the sort of protective father, not wanting Brooke to be with a wrestler. Randy was always trying to impress her by beating up Hulk, one of the most famous RKOs in the parking garage as Brooke was watching on. I always loved that as he gave her a rose. Ric Flair and Mick Foley had a match. Honestly, when I saw this match was coming up, I got it mixed up with what I believe is the Vengeance match, where it's the 2 out of 3 falls, where just Mick Foley beats the shit out of Rick. But this was the payoff for that. Basically, this was just an I Quit match. All the rules thrown out the window. Ric Flair split way open very, very early in this match. Basically, Mick Foley pulls out Mr. Sacco, wraps him up in some barbed wire. They pull out the barbed wire bat. Ric Flair is split open like it's WrestleMania, wrestling against the Macho Man, where he looks like he's a redhead. He's one of the best in the game at doing that. The way that this match ended was they were fighting in the ring, and Mick Foley took a bump from the apron to the floor. It looked like he took the bump all right. His head hit a trash can on the way down, so they sort of portrayed it as Mick was knocked out down there on the floor. All the referees and the medics said that basically Mick wasn't going to be able to compete. He wasn't going to be able to go on. They gave the match to Ric Flair. Ric Flair said that he wasn't going to accept the match because this was an I quit match, and unless Foley said I quit, he wasn't going to stop. At this time, they were doing some sort of an angle with Mick Foley and Melina being really good friends. Melina came running down to be with Mick in this time. Ric Flair threatened to attack Melina with the barbed wire bat, and Mick Foley said, "I quit," so Melina wouldn't be taking any of the punishment from that. Batista beat King Booker by DQ. With Batista not being able to keep the championship, Batista was on a real big push to chase the title at this time. A lot of people thought that he was going to be able to win it back from King Booker, but they made us wait a little bit longer. And then we go, when I talked about SummerSlam 2009, I talked about how much that was a great show, but DX ruined it for me a little bit. I just didn't want to see their Looney Tunes sort of sketch things, and here is one of the worst feuds of all time. One of the reasons why I love Triple H, I love Shawn Michaels, I love DX of the past, but DX, those runs they went on just were horrible. And in this one, we see DX going up against Vince and Shane McMahon, which wouldn't be the most horrible match in the world. But the match starts out by Vince and Shane walking down to the ring, only for them to stop, walk back up to the top of the ramp, and the Spirit Squad to come running down. DX basically, Shawn hits a sweet chin music. Hunter throws a guy over the top, and next thing you know, all 5 guys have been eliminated from the match within seconds. Then we have, who comes running down there next? It was Mr. Kennedy, William Regal, and Finlay, all from SmackDown, come out, and they actually get some offense in on DX, but DX takes care of them in a short fashion. And then I think it was after that basically Vince and Shane had to go down to the ring, and they actually started the match up for a while, only for Umaga to come running down there and him to jump into the match. Basically, we end up getting DX getting the win over Vince and Shane. They had to do this one more time at another pay-per-view. This wasn't even the blow-off. They did it with the infamous Hell in a Cell match with Vince and Shane bringing in Big Show. Oh, Big Show ran in during this match as well. Yeah. He was there. He was part of this team. But not for me. I'll take DX to the old. I love Shawn. I love Triple H. Most of the time when DX did their sort of sketch comedy, I sort of just gritted my teeth. But once they got into the ring, they did awesome work. But not with Vince and Shane. No, it's just dumb. From there, we go to a great main event. Edge versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. This was during the whole Rated R Superstar deal with Edge and Lita running strong. They had won the championship at New Year's Resolution, one of those, the one in Puerto Rico where he cashed in after the Elimination Chamber match. Edge was riding strong as being the champion. Edge and Cena would go on to have, I don't know how long that feud was, but it was good, and all the matches were great. Edge picks up the win here by pitting John Cena after Lita slips him some brass knuckles. I love the way that Edge hits Cena with the knuckles, then stuffs him into his trunks and waits for Lita to stop, interfering with the ref. And then once the ref turns around, he sells it like he was just in this hard-fought battle with Cena, like he didn't knock him out with the knucks. He's not just waiting to pin him. I don't know why I thought that was so great. But you don't see a lot of stuff like that a lot of times. But this was a good show. Highly recommend, if you're going to have a night of wrestling like I did. 2005, over 2006, but 2006 is still a good show.